We love that. 1,000,001, 1,000,002, 1,000,003. Bridget's glowing because she's rich as hell. You know, you sell your company and you just come on stage and you just glow. That's how it works. Anyways, we're going to have a ton of fun today. So David's background, made a lot of money building a company called Answers.com, and then said, you know what, doing that one time isn't enough. Basically put everything or a lot of what he made from that business into Capacity, which we're going to talk about. Bridget bootstrapped to $5 million of revenue over 10 years and recently was acquired by David. So before we jump in, David, set context on like the hub and spoke model you're building. How are you finding targets to acquire at Capacity?
Yeah, so a little bit about Capacity. We use AI to automate support across every customer interaction. And so for us, we're looking for companies that have high touch on any customer engagement area, whether that's internal support, whether that's external booking, whether that's what happens on your website, voice, email, social. And so we reach out to a lot of folks and we tell our story. Here's what we're up to. In particular, we really like companies that have a broad customer base, are in the SaaS model, and that have a good cultural fit in terms of here are the key values that we run the company by, and we try to find folks that eschew those same values.
And then, Bridget, YouCanBookMe. What's the background? That people say, you can't build something, like, why do you build it? Calendly's already a scheduling tool. Google's going to build it. You did it. You built it. How'd it work?
And actually, we were before Google and Calendly, just FYI.
Just saying.
So me and my co-founder, Keith, we're a couple. We'd been building web applications for about 20 years. So we launched one in 2003 that we wanted to work. It was a survey building tool. And then we got into scheduling. We built multiple scheduling tools, waiting for one to take off, and YouCanBookMe was the one. And it just took off from there. We experienced really, really rapid growth in the years after we launched it in 2012. As you said, bootstrapped it. Basically, we strapped in for hyper growth, profitability by about 2016, started making quite a lot of money, built up a huge customer base, and really enjoyed the ride, but at the same time had, the ambitions for YouCanBookMe are in some ways greater than the ambitions for me and Keith as founders of the company. So when David reached out, it just felt like a really good match.
And it was a LinkedIn DM, the proverbial slipping into the LinkedIn DMs. David, do you remember the first message to Bridget?
Bridget probably remembers that.
I think it was very low key, David. It wasn't like, get excited, here it all is. It was more to do with, hi, I'm David. I've done this, I've done that.
Congratulations on your 10-year anniversary. You can book me.
Something like that. I think it was like, you said something about like build a couple of super, 20-figure businesses. Do you want to have a chat? And it was the kind of DM that I would never say no to. It was like, yeah, sure, let's have a chat, because you obviously got a huge amount of experience that I was interested in.
I mean, I think it's important that when you're reaching out to companies, if you do have an inorganic growth strategy, to just be yourself. We're not ServiceNow. ServiceNow is a big conglomerate. We are a company that's still very founder-led, founder-driven, and we like founders.
Well, yeah, I mean, just to say, I still get now DMs from people who are trying to buy YouCanBookMe, and I just think they literally haven't looked at my profile. They haven't seen any updates, and they're just hammering out these automated messages that you can see a mile off. Whereas I could tell that David's message was sincere. And that was in May last year, so it was a bit of a build-up.
So to dive into some of the numbers, like I think a lot of founders think, okay, the only growth channels are sort of an SEO playbook or affiliates, or people forget there is this very aggressive inorganic strategy you can run where if you can go identify 10 companies doing $5 million of revenue and go figure out how to buy all of them, that's $50 million of revenue you can buy like very, very quickly. People don't necessarily understand how to run this model. They sometimes think, well, it's going to be really expensive or it's going to take too long or I've never bought a company before. So just diving into some of the numbers. So Bridget, you grew from zero. What was revenue at time of sale and how many employees?
So it was $5 million ARR. And in terms of employees, we had a headcount of around 35 people, but we'd actually kept our employee headcount quite low. So it was about 22 employees.
22 employees. And so, David, you reach out, eventually get into brass tacks. How do you value the business?
Yeah, so when we meet with companies, we're typically valuing somewhere between, call it a 2 to 6x. And in the YouCanBookMe case, it was in the middle of that range. And then we really like to offer to the companies we acquire both a combination of cash up front and then an opportunity to ride some of the upside in terms of where we're trying to go. That also helps the team members of the companies we acquire stay engaged and structure it in a way where we don't have to raise crazy amounts of money in order to get going.
How much has Capacity raised as the parent company life to date?
So we've raised just over $100 million to date.
And then when was the last round? How much was that for?
Last round, which is still technically open, is about $38 million.
Okay. Are you comfortable sharing the valuation on that or the ARR multiple you got on that round?
We'll say very healthy.
I'm in the middle here between a Nathan, David.
What I'm trying to teach the audience is people don't like great founders. There's arbitrage here. You can sell your Capacity revenue at, I don't know, you say let's say 10x.
We're shooting for 10 to 15x.
Okay, let's say it's conservative. Let's say you're selling it at 10x. You're buying Bridget at, you said between 2 and 6. Let's say it was a 4x, right? You just made $6 on every dollar of ARR he acquired from just arbitrage on the market. I mean, David, walk us through how you think about it. People would call this, that's unsexy, it's financial engineering, but how do you think about that?
First of all, I think it's really important to delineate between two separate strategies. There are the house of brands strategies where a company's going to come in, they're going to acquire a series of portfolio assets in the SaaS space, and they're going to run them individually as their own thing. And then the other strategy, which we're pushing on, is more of a branded house, where everything will get integrated into the Capacity proper over time. Some brands take a little longer, some brands will happen a little sooner. But our goal when we ultimately want to go take the company either public or get a strategic exit is we want to have one fully integrated company along the way. And so as part of the thought process there, we're running what we're doing, what you would call a compound startup. And as a compound startup, we've identified 24 steps of the customer experience journey that are ripe for automation. Some of those are going to be places that we go build. Some of those are going to be places that we go partner with. And other parts are going to be places that we go acquire. And so the idea is that by filling in we've got a little oval slide I show around internally. By filling in the different parts of the oval, we're able to go in and say, okay, let's go drive a great customer experience for our customers and ultimately put that into one platform.
So if someone's listening here today that's built a $2 to $5 million ARR SaaS company in like the support space, they should come talk to you if they want to get a valuation, right?
David at Capacity.com.
There you have it. So, Bridget, the question I have for you is, David, first off, sorry, you've bought how many companies over what period of time?
We've acquired 9 companies in the last 2.5 years.
So, like, Bridget, like David will give me the press answer to this, but you'll give me the real answer. How do you get 9 tech stacks to work together in a 12-month or 18-month period? I mean, is it all smooth behind the scenes? What does it look like?
So one of the reasons why we decided to partner up with Capacity and with David is because we went to St. Louis, where the headquarters is, and we met his team. Because it's not all David at the top of the iceberg or the mountain. There's a lot of people behind, and we were impressed with his team. So because that was one of our questions, which is how is this going to work? And I think that it involves a huge amount of trust. So, for example, his COO came over to Bedford in the UK and spent a week with our team, and we've done a lot of joint calls. So you need a lot of trust that everybody knows what they're doing, and it's not all going to happen next week. At the same time, we also knew what David's plan was. So we were interested in this acquisition because we knew YouCanBookMe wasn't either just going to have to keep on carrying along by itself, which is a risk to a vertical software tool like YouCanBookMe, nor was it just going to get absorbed into kind of, a huge scaled up nothing universe. We wanted it to be a part of a strategic plan, and we wanted that platform to be built so we could still serve our customers with all of the other products that Capacity does, because it's really cool what they do. So huge amount of trust, huge amount of shared vision. Everybody signed up to it. We're all bought in to the same thing that we want to happen. And then I think you've just got to be a bit more relaxed because, again, there was a speaker earlier today, I think it was Josh, who was saying that you get a perspective on if you've run a software company for 10, 15 years, it means that you built it before the last couple of years of adrenaline-fueled, VC-funded SaaS madness, if I'm allowed to affectionately call it that. Because, for YouCanBookMe, things like refactoring, changing your infrastructure, moving things around, changing the DB. There's a lot of stuff there that as a software company you get very used to, and this is just a version of that.
So you are doing that, David. You are trying to get everyone on a shared tech stack post-acquisition.
Yeah, good question. So the way we think about it is we think about these acquisitions in terms of 4 layers of integration. The first layer is we acquire a company, we're under the same ownership, and we're now all under the kind of same family, but nothing's connected. The second layer is where we take our developer platform and we connect to that company's infrastructure. So we can go use our APIs to talk to their APIs, etc. The third layer is where we take the company we acquire and we actually wrap it in the Capacity interface for our console or for our front end. And then the fourth layer would be, in the case that we have 2 competing products, to merge those together into one. So in the case of YouCanBookMe, within the first 90 days, we had Capacity set up where anyone with a YouCanBookMe booking page now has a Capacity booking page as the very first part of the integration. We also got very early developer platform integration between the 2 sides as well. And so the idea is that we want to ultimately make it really easy to connect to whatever companies we acquire. We want to be the best place for a founder to land.
Very cool. AJ, can we get, I want to get audience questions going back and forth. Can we just get a mic to Saeed in the front? I know Saeed's going to ask a very good question, so we'll get the mic just to Saeed here. And Saeed, think of a good question while I throw this one at these guys. So there's a bunch of integrations happening. There's a lot of change happening post-close. You mentioned sometimes it's all cash up front, sometimes there's earn-out, stock. Do you have a second bite of the apple here? Are you on an earn-out? Do we have golden handcuffs?
We are on a 50% equity deal and the 50% cash.
Okay.
Funnily enough, if you'd asked me a few years ago what would be the perfect exit, I mean, to an extent this is still true, 100% cash, walk off into the sunset. I really surprised myself with actually how, in some ways, quite reassuring the idea of saying, well, we know where we're leaving half of the value of our company. We have to trust these people. We have to like them. We have to believe that our team are going to thrive in the new world. And then, of course, as David says, his ambition goes way, way beyond what me and Keith could ever have achieved. And so our 50% equity gets rolled into this much, much bigger plan. So it's exciting.
David, anything you'd add to that? Just the earn-out or the cash, the equity component of the deal?
I would just add that unlike a lot of other companies that acquire companies in this space, we're not some private equity-backed overlords behind the curtain kind of company. So we can move quickly, and it also means that if you're a company that we have the fortunate situation of being able to acquire you, we want you to leave your company in good hands. Like, I have a significant amount of my net worth in Capacity. I'm fighting every day to go build this thing into something good and big and profitable and exciting. And so when I sit down with a Bridget or any founder, I want them to know, like, look, I'm going to be working just as hard now that you're part of our team as we were before.
Very good. Okay, so guys, raise your hand if you've got a question. Okay, so we'll do Saeed first, and then we'll go to the front to Mark. So Saeed, what's your question?
Thanks, Nathan, putting me on the spot. David, is there a framework that you have on acquisition? So do you want to go, or do you go deep into the ICPs that you have, or do you go broad and get more ICPs? And how does that connect with your average sale price?
Yeah, great question. So my first thing is that if you would have asked me this 10 years ago, I would have a different answer. I think disparate SaaS categories are converging very quickly. It used to be you'd go to one company for your help desk and a different one for your live chat, different one for your workflows, a different one for your SMS, a different one from your calendar scheduling, a different one for your voice IVA. Increasingly, I think the pendulum is swinging where companies come to us and they're like, David, I don't want to have to duct tape together solutions from 8 different vendors. And so what used to be potentially a bunch of different ICPs are very quickly collapsing. And so part of my thesis is that, and I don't think we're alone on this, but part of our thesis is that as a compound startup, the way that you win is by putting these different pieces together. You undercut the price at any individual product, and you make it up in the overall bundle, where people come back and they say, okay, well, for the price that we're paying, I'd have to go to 8 different vendors and go spend the money to go integrate all these things together. It should be a no-brainer. To answer your question, though, we are specifically focused on automating support. But that's a big S support, not small s support. So that could be employee support, customer support, marketing support, sales support, anywhere where you get lots of emails, tickets, phone calls, bookings. That's a good place for us to play.
Okay, Mark, what do you got?
I was curious about M&A and AI, because you're an AI-driven business. Are the companies that you're acquiring typically ones that have been using AI within their products in an interesting way, or are they new to it? Is your play about taking in this stuff and you've got an extra kind of AI-driven secret sauce? Or?
I'd say it's probably 2/3, 1/3. About 1/3 of the companies we acquire are ones where they've got some AI in motion, things are moving. About 2/3 are ones where they've built a really great mousetrap in a particular area, but there's an opportunity to bring some AI prowess and expertise.
What the last thing? As I say, is that Mark that I see down there? I was going to say, I feel like when I was learning software and I was looking at all the business of software replays online, I saw Bridget on your stage, met a couple years ago, right? 20.
True. The first time I spoke at Business of Software was 2016.
2016.
When we were $1 million ARR.
And then you hit profitability in 2017, right?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, that's wild. Wild. Okay, you were going to add something, David.
I was just going to add one more thing. The other thing that we really try to do is that just because Capacity has been doing something doesn't mean we've cornered the market on this stuff. Like, part of what we do, and we were able to bring on marketing folks from Bridget's team who are phenomenal at what they do, and we're able to plug in gaps in areas that we needed help, and vice versa. We've got areas that we can help plug in as well. And so when we acquire a company, it's not, well, everybody needs to get on the Capacity train or good luck. It's like, hey, look, we want to take the best of these organizations together and go start rowing in the same direction.
Raise your hand again if you've got questions. Okay, so AJ, if we can get the mic to the center back. While I do that, just a quick question, Bridget. I know this is a mixed audience, UK and US, but obviously tax planning is really important at the exit. Is there anything you can share there? Did you do anything to try and protect a little bit of sort of the upfront cash or anything like that?
So this is the only thing I did, which is very specific to profitable companies, is that we deliberately didn't take out huge dividends where the tax would be double the amount from the tax that we would pay on the money we received. So we ended up with quite a lot of money that we could roll into the deal that was our money on our balance sheet that we had not taken out as dividends. So to that extent, there was a kind of a slow burn of, at some point we might exit, so we don't want to take out millions of pounds.
I'm sorry, can I just break that down? If you and Keith were each saying we should be paid $200,000 a year, you wouldn't take that out. You would basically have it be a loan.
No. So we were always, so in terms of the philosophy of being bootstrapped and profitable, me and Keith always paid ourselves 6-figure salaries. We always took care of ourselves. I think that was it. You loved the jam today. He loved. It's a British.
All these British jokes they get me every time.
It's from English public school. Jam. Why do we always have jam tomorrow when we want jam today? Mark will recognise this. As a profitable company, I always believed in jam today. Like, you hand out profit share, you pay yourself, you don't sacrifice, because it might be that me and Keith would have run YouCanBookMe for the rest of our lives. So YouCanBookMe needed to pay us. But at the same time, if you're profitable, you do generate a lot of cash. And so it was a question of what to do about that cash. And so we would periodically pay ourselves dividends, but we also kept quite a lot of it on our balance sheet, partly through as a reserve, but also because the capital gains tax is half the amount of. Although I was in St. Louis checking everybody out at the point that the Chancellor put capital gains tax up. So it's like, oh, great, thank you. Just, lost quite a significant amount of money there. But I am not a wheeler and dealer in terms of tax regime. I basically pay tax. That's all I've got to say about it. Just pay
That's
tax.
a round of applause. That's good. Profitable and pays taxes. That's a good founder.
It's much easier. It's a much easier way to think about life.
We've got 1:47 left. Let's try and sneak in 2 questions. So we got a quick one back here. Go ahead.
Yeah, how did you know you wanted to exit, and do you regret exiting at that time in any way? Like, what are some things to watch for? And sorry if you already answered this.
Yeah. I didn't ask this. Sorry. What month did you exit?
So we did the deal on, I'm never going to forget it. We did the deal 18th of December 2024 because it was the night Paul McCartney was performing in the O2. And me and my husband and my kids, we were actually gone to see Paul McCartney, who was absolutely amazing and the priority for the day, not selling the company. And then we were on the train on the way back signing the deal. I don't think you were on the call, David, but all the corp dev people were there. You were there, but everybody was there. It was like 20 people on the call. And we were just on a train going back to Bedford with our teenagers, and everybody's, tired and whatever, and signed it away. But we're more excited about Paul McCartney. But it's an interesting point because the moment that we were signing, you really have to ask yourself, do I want to do this? And I have to say that I didn't for a second have any regrets. I didn't think we were going to do the wrong thing. I didn't worry about it. The closer we got to the day of close, the happier I felt. And I think that's because for a very long time, me and Keith had always assumed at some point we would sell the company, or the products that we had built in the first place were always destined to be acquired. It just took us a lot longer through building YouCanBookMe, which I've really, really enjoyed. And it's a great product. And I've really enjoyed the experience of running the company, but we always expected to do it. We always had a lot of offers as well. We had lots of people being interested, but we never got the right combination of what we wanted. And I think some of that is about a real desire to sell, as well as, the kind of thing that David's talked about. That's not on offer from an awful lot of private equity, VC-backed kind of acquisitions, because they have their own agenda that is just not compatible or wasn't compatible with me and Keith.
That's how you know David is a good buyer. No one's going to say no when they just saw Paul McCartney slip those signature pages in right after the train ride, and you're closing 100% every time. That was strategic. Come on, you knew she was at the Paul McCartney concert, right?
Sir Paul for the win.
Sir Paul for the win. All right.
It literally, in the evening, all the lawyers are working away, and I could see it on my email. And Paul McCartney is singing, "It's getting better all the time." It was just, I'm not a great singer, but I was just like, yep, it really is. It really is.
That's amazing, guys. On that note, give it up for David and Bridget, Capacity, and YouCanBookMe.
Thanks, Nathan.
Thank you all.